Hello again, math geniuses. Today I'd like to introduce you to fractions. This is a fraction. Fraction, meet the math geniuses. Math geniuses, meet the fraction. Let's talk about the basic parts of a fraction. We've got this number at the top called the numerator. This little line in the middle, we refer to that as the fraction bar. And the number downstairs in the lower part of the fraction is called the denominator. These are the three basic components of a fraction: numerator, fraction bar, denominator. Now we're going to talk about various types of fractions to set you up for the videos that are to follow. This again is an introduction, just very basic stuff. In the form that you see this fraction, 3 over 4, this is known as a proper fraction. What makes it a proper fraction is that the numerator is a lower number, a lower value than the denominator. Now, I bet you could guess what comes next. If 3 over 4 is a proper fraction, then the next thing we're probably going to talk about will be an improper fraction. And you are so smart because you are exactly right, math geniuses. Improper fraction. So if 3 over 4 is a proper fraction, an improper fraction might look like this: 4 over 3. And what you'll notice is that the numerator is a larger number than the denominator. Here's another way to think of it. Let's pretend we have two tables. We'll draw them like a picnic bench. There's a table, and there's a table. Okay? Now let's suppose you have a triangle. And if you set the triangle properly on the table, you have the smaller side over here at the top and the larger side at the bottom, just like a proper fraction. Now suppose we took that triangle and turned it upside down. Well, we're improperly trying to set this on the table, and what's going to happen is that the triangle is probably going to fall over because it's on its tippy tip. So you'll notice that the top part in this case is bigger or larger, and in this case the bottom is smaller. And since it's improperly situated on the table, it doesn't sit right. It's not proper. Let's take a look at something else. Let's go back to our 3 over 4 example. When you talk about fractions, that's one way you could say it: 3 over 4, or 3/4. 3/4, okay? Now suppose we hung a whole number out here. Let's say, I don't know, 3. 3 and 3/4. This is called a mixed number, because it takes a whole number that could stand by itself and it mixes it with the fraction. It's a mixture of the two things. Whole number, fraction, mixed number. One last thing I want to show you in this introduction is this. We have our fraction, 3 over 4, right? Or 3/4. Now if we were to take that fraction and simply flip it around so that it's 4 over 3, this is called taking the reciprocal of the fraction. It just simply means flipping the thing around. You take what's in the numerator, set it in the denominator, and take what's in the denominator and set it in the numerator. That's called taking the reciprocal. So let's review. Fractions. In our fraction discussion, we talked about proper fractions. We talked about improper fractions. We talked about mixed numbers. And we talked about reciprocals. And if you remember, a proper fraction is one in which the number in the numerator is a lesser value or smaller than the number in the denominator. An improper fraction is one where the number in the numerator is larger than the one in the denominator. A mixed number is one where you have a whole number and a fraction together, mixed together. Kind of like mixing the chocolate with the milk and ending up with chocolate milk, you see. And then the reciprocal of a fraction is one in which you take the fraction and you simply flip it around. So let me now tell you what all this has to do with as we anticipate or think about what's coming down the pike in the future. All four of these fraction types, well, the reciprocal is not actually a type, it's an operation, have to do with adding and subtracting as well as multiplying and dividing fractions. We're not going to get into that in this video, but it's important for you to know what fractions in their different states look like so that when we get to those things, we'll know what to do. That'll do it for this installment, Math Geniuses. If you need any assistance, have any questions, comments, or concerns, the email address is deliomath@gmail.com. See you next time, Math Geniuses.